if you have anyone on your team that needs to that wants to view this the session, they can go to it afterwards and view the recording. The recording will be available later on today. So once again, you're lucky to have our president and founder, Chris Wilson, that will be going through the webinar today. You can see his lovely mug on screen as we speak right now. So so please welcome Chris, and Chris, if you can take it over, and I'll be monitoring the questions.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thanks very much, Tate, for your introduction. We're really pleased. We're really pleased to have quite a number of people joining us. We thank you for spending some time to just get to know Function Point a little better today. We do believe that by putting these on, the people that participate will indeed improve their use of the system, and of course their return on investment for working with the tool. So I wanted to just reach out and sort of say hello to everyone by pulling up the photo booth and showing myself. As Tate said, my mug in the introduction. I think I'll just again thank you for your business, and I'll turn this off as we jump into my my opening dialogue and then taking you through things today. So thank you again, and I'll just shut this off. And good. So what are we going to do today? FP 9.1, the CRM, or working with clients and prospects. The purpose of today's webinar is to address inquiries we've received regarding best practices for managing your clients, your vendors, and prospects in Function Point. As such, we will review the company and contacts module in the tool with an eye to prospecting. We're going to include the use of company prospecting fields such as source, qualification, and there's a wild card field called classification as well. And I'm going to present examples of using sales-related user-defined fields on the company module. Many of you may not be aware that we do have user-defined fields available in the companies and contacts section of the tool. I'm going to take us through creating notes, some of the capabilities for loading notes into your email tool. We also have written for ourselves internally a number of sales-related template documents, actually not just for sales, but also for releases and launches and such. And I'll show you a little bit about how you can create some template documents that you can drop into notes. Prospecting or follow-up tasks for future reminders will be touched on. And I will go through quickly the estimates and showing on estimates how you can tag them as submitted to clients and use a probability and a close month capability as well. So if your account executives are building estimates, you can sort of track those and see what's available to be closed. And we've built a report for tracking prospects that I'm also going to jump through. Now, Tate talked about the upgrade that's coming out this Friday to version 9.2, and just touching on that, I thought, Tate, that I would probably, if time permitted, review that really at the end of our webinar, as it's not really principal topic. I have done up a page in the Word document that you see in front of you right now that outlines the items, and I can actually point out a couple of them, for instance, when we're on the estimate detail screen during my presentation today. As usual, Tate's monitoring the webinar and answering questions as we go, so please don't hesitate to put them in on your control panel within your GoToWebinar tools. And he'll try and get as many of those answered as possible. If we don't get to your question during the webinar, we will indeed answer all of them and have them posted with the video as we finished up. Of course, that will be available to you on the community site, and I encourage you to review the other webinars that we've put there. I'll mention our LinkedIn group. Leonardo, here in the office, among others, have been really quite active in there. We're keeping it well populated with information, sharing our upgrades and such with our users and with the broader community. Finally, I want to mention that we've got a great iPad giveaway going on right now. As you know, SEO and link backs to functionpoint.com are so important for our search engine results with Google and such. So we are trying to motivate you to put a little link back to Function Point on your website, and you can find some more information in our community help about that. For those clients of ours that do that, we're going to put their name into a draw for an iPad early in December. So please check that out. If you have any questions, do reach out to us. We'll be happy to point you in the right direction. Once again, I thank you for joining us. let's try and get through this in the next 30 minutes, 35 minutes, and work with things accordingly. So just very briefly, once again, I'm going to walk through the company and contacts module. I'm going to show you some information on the find screen resulting in prospects, go through the detail page and showing details on prospecting fields and custom fields. I'm going to take you through note creation, creating notes, dropping those notes into prospecting tasks, and creating emails and such from them as well. There's a new feature that we've added with 9.0 that was around pinning of notes to the dashboard, a bit of a change from the message board, and I'll review that quickly. And of course, I'll take you through the results of some of the items, i.e. Where tasks show up in the calendar, where the pinned notes show on the dashboard, and where the prospecting task also shows on the dashboard. The estimate for tracking estimate statuses and finding those that are submitted. I'll also show, while we're on the estimate, information about the new costing field that's coming with 9.2. So good. So let me just move this off to the side. And I'm going to pull in my sample version of function point. And I'm just going to make it a little larger and spread it out. And I think that I've also tried to enlarge the text on this so that it's as easy as possible for our users with smaller resolutions to see. So from the main dashboard, of course, everyone is aware of what they see. The sections for prospecting are all managed really within the company's part of function point and the related contacts that work at each of those companies. And there's one little piece of the navigation that I want to point out that's an add-on, where you can also search from the main navigation into notes that have been created within function point. And of course, notes can be a very integral part of any of your prospecting. And so hence finding any notes that you've created at times in the past, as well as refinding the list that you've just searched, are some add-on capabilities under the Suckerfish for contacts that you see here. So I want to point that out. Of course, many of you being users of the tool are completely aware of our 3 standard pages, but I'm going to quickly review them. The find under companies is really the foundation for going in and searching by company type. And you'll notice under company type where we have that information around, are we looking for prospects? Are we trying to find clients or suppliers? Or if we have multiple offices within our own organization, are we looking for the key records for those items? Of course, today we're focusing on prospects, so I'm going to fill that in. There is the industry type opportunity that is in the system, and perhaps somewhat underutilized, but a great way to categorize your prospects. The status of them, whether they're active or inactive. Of course, as prospects become inactive or not moving forward with you, you may wish to change them to inactive in your CRM tools here. The key items, though, really are around who is the account executive that's managing this. And if you are an account executive, then, of course, it would be your name that would be selecting in this particular list. I'm going to be using Mark Wilson. Many of you have worked with Mark here as one of our account executives at Function Point. I'll be using him in my example today. So I'm going to choose his name under the AE, or account executive role. I'm further going to show you the qualification, the source, and we have this other field really that's a wild card called classification that you can use for any other standardized values that you might like to put in. But the qualification field is one of our drop-down items that's available through the list maintenance, where you can put in your level of classifications for defining new opportunities as they flow through your pipeline. So for instance, you can see a 0 is a straight prospect. They haven't been contacted. Follow-up, introduction has been done. They viewed our portfolio. We're preparing a proposal, and ultimately they become a client. We use something very similar to this in our own system, and we recommend that you build a list of 5 or maybe 6 items that really suit what your organization does for tracking people. And then, of course, the ever-important AdWords, AdWords, where you can track again, if you're a part of your local community chamber of commerce or involve yourself in trade shows and such, then manage these drop-down items under the list maintenance and use them to track where these new opportunities are coming to you from for reviewing in the future. Now, this is a nice little setup. I've got prospects for Mark Wilson that have viewed the portfolio, and I'm going to just select the find routine here. And in our system, our sample system I'm showing to you, we're getting 51 potential results that match that. Now, this is the list view, so of course it is the second of the standard pages in Function Point where the results of your search are presented to you. You can sort these, you can output them to CSV for use in other emailing tools if that's what you're up to, or for doing any other letters or work that you might work with in Word, etc. I'm going to use Golden Gate University as my example today. I'm going to just now select that field, and that will drive me through to the detail within the company's module for this particular prospect. And you can see here that, of course, it's one of our standard pages. But what we've done with the 9.0 upgrade is we've tried to bring forward to the top of the section of the system above the Show Details marker, those key prospecting fields that will allow you to get a very quick understanding of what is going on with this particular account. So here you can see they're active, their company type is prospect, they've viewed the portfolio, and they responded to one of our direct mail cards. And that's just some great kind of fundamental information. But also available to you are some custom fields that you may or may not know you can work with in the system. Under the admin section, under system setup, you'll notice that we have the custom field suckerfish tag. And this will take you into a section in the back of the system where you can create fields and then assign them to either the company or contact section. And you'll notice that what we've done in our sample here is we've put in, what is the value of this particular opportunity, who's their current agency, and just a light one around payment type, which may actually be associated with once they become a client. But this allows you to build a series of related fields that may be all about your lead qualification levels, size of organization, what's the dollars they're going to spend, other information just about the company, like who are you contacted or working with? Are you working with the president or the chief marketing officer, et cetera, et cetera. So we really would like to encourage you to use that. A couple of little things, just a little note about the company, little trick for people calling to remember who the receptionist is at the firm. Little ideas just to really help you in having a personal relationship with these individuals when you are communicating with them. So that really runs through the majority of the fields that are associated with your prospecting activities. What I also want to touch on is under the tabbed environment below. We're showing the contact section now, and you can see we've got 2 individuals that work at this particular organization. But there's also the notes section, and the notes is critical really for being able to track your history with this particular organization and see just what's gone on. And you can see that I went in yesterday and I've just seeded this with some notes that I put into Golden Gate University. When you mouse over these, we've got, of course, the mouse over pop-up that will give you quite a bit of the information that's available in the note that's been written. And this is a great way for you to just quickly review what's been going on and then, of course, view that and know what your next steps ultimately will be. We can see that across the way who it's been to, what it was, a phone call or an email. If it's been related to a specific job, once you do turn these people into clients, then that information is showing. And, of course, if there's any files that have been attached under the system that's related to the note, then they can be visible from here, and that can take you directly to that files tab in the note section. Further, we have the estimates section within the tool, and the estimates allow you to see just, what is going on with the estimates for this organization. You can select it and navigate to it, but very importantly, you can see what that status is. So, and this will work for, this will be the estimate I'll navigate to in a moment's time. Tasks, files. The grayed out items are pieces of the system that have not yet got information for this company. So you'll see under projects, briefs, jobs, etc., that there are no actual records, and hence they are grayed out and show such. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to take you through creating notes and tracking notes. So I'm going to just come back to the contacts, and I'm going to select one of the contacts, although you can go directly to creating a note through this plus note icon on the far side. And this does allow you to go directly to making a note if you're on the company details. Of course, I'm going to choose Philip Friedman to navigate from the company section to the contact section, where we may have more information such as his email or specific phone numbers, direct numbers, home numbers, etc. But what I want to point out here is that when you're on the notes section under an individual, you only see the notes to that person. Whereas on the company section, you see all notes to all individuals to the company. It's a natural filter, and I wanted to just express that. But we also show the prospecting tasks that you may have on the go with the individual. And this is a great way for you to see all historic or previous prospecting tasks that may have gone out to this particular person. And these are just that. They are not all tasks. They are just prospecting-related tasks. Of course, as people become clients, you can set them up with the portal. If they're internal staff people, you can set them up with skills or your freelancers. And of course, subscriptions allow you to configure the alerts that may be going on when someone is active with you in your operation. So back to contacts. I can, again, create the note for Philip right from the notes list. Or I can also create it through the add contact note that you see at the top. I have a tendency, as a heavy user of this section, to really use the note section on the person's name, as I'm often dealing with multiple people within an organization. So I selected to create a note. We're on the Add Edit page within the Notes section. Notes are kind of an area, too, that revolves not just around contacts, but also around jobs. And you'll notice that there's some information down below around jobs and such that are available to you should this actually be a note you're creating to send to someone specifically for work. But again, I want to stay focused on the sales side. So I'm going to just point out how you can also, in the back end, create some template letters that allow you to populate these notes with a base amount of information that you could then potentially go in and adjust to make much more personal. If you have, for instance, a dialogue that you like to use to introduce your company to an organization, these items can be put in under the admin section, under the features, under the bulk email templates. And these items then become, the text items in here then become options for you to use when you're building out notes to individuals. So for instance, if we're doing a follow-up to a tour, we may put in here, thank you for all of the dialogue that is, the niceties of the emails that we send, and then personalize that with the actual experience that occurred with that individual, and hence you've got yourself a much more quickly written communication back to that organization. You'll notice down below that we have the company, we have the contact that it's for, there's information around jobs if you have on the go. Our new notes section does allow you to comment on the notes that are put in, and should you have the privilege, you can disable some of those comments, so take note. Under category, we allow you to track just what was the nature of this note. How was it delivered to the individual? Was it a phone call? Was it a message? Was it sent via an email? And then now we start to get into this whole concept of the prospecting tasks. You notice that we have here follow-up date and time and create follow-up task. Well, this, of course, allows you to come into the system and put in a date that you would like to follow up with this particular individual. And you can select that date. You can put in a time if you wish, and you can choose if you wish to select Create Follow-Up Task. Now, what this does is it sets the system up so that it will create a new task in function point. It will be a prospecting type, and it will set its due date as being October 28th. And if you have the alerts component set up in the system, it will also allow you to have an alert or an email sent to you on both the follow-up dates or the prospecting task due date. So they're great reminders. They're great ways to keep you on track with doing those follow-ups that you know you should be doing, and they do deliver accurate information to you when you're using Function Point regularly. I wanted to also point out how you can, of course, upload files into the system. And I'm just going to quickly grab one of the little files that is a screenshot of some creative work that was done for us and just drop it into place. The drop files here is a new capability. It does allow you to leverage this by using multiple files, where, of course, before 9.0, you had to upload and you could only upload one file. There's a 50 megabit file size limit on this, but if your customer or your prospect has sent you an RFP and got some information that they want to give to you, please make sure you store them here. There's no additional fees for using this service with Function Point, and again, it will just make the tool one location for some of this information. We also added the pin to dashboard. In years past, we had the message board component, but pinning is kind of a modern way of saying, let's let others know about this particular node. And you'll see here that I've just selected to pin to dashboard, and these are the other participants within the organization that I may want to have know about this particular item. Now, I want to show this to you, so I'm going to select Mark's name. I'm logged in as Mark Wilson today. You'll notice here at the top I'm in as Mark. But I may also want someone else on the team to know that I'm communicating with this individual, so hence I can choose their information accordingly. And if I just now select Submit, that will save this item. It creates a note for us, and it drops us onto that detail page that's associated with this. Okay, so the notes detail page. Fundamentally, you know, you've written a note. You know that Function Point is not an internal built email tool, so you haven't yet disseminated this to the individual that you want it to go to. So hence you'll notice that across the top are who it's to, the name of the note. We've got the note detail. We've tried to keep that important information above the show details break. And we have the icons that then allow you to take other actions with this note. You can simply set this up so that it will load it into your email tool, and you'll take note how I've just done that and how it now puts into your email tool the note that's been written, so you can send that off. There are some limits of around 2,000 characters that are imposed by the Mac operating system on these. So sometimes it's important when you write a long one to cut the item before you do select this. But it does load up the person's email address. And if you are using the follow-up date, it does put it in, which in some cases is really a nice little touch. You can, of course, create another note from this particular page. So if you wanted to create another note to fill up for some reason, you can also take this note and turn it into a task that you may be delegating to someone. So let's assume that you're working with, you know, I think I selected DJ Rana, and perhaps he's in creative and he's doing up some samples for you with regards to sending this off to the individual. You might select to add a task from this and in turn put in some further details requesting specific information from your internal team around that preparation. The pinning, well, this just comes back to show you a little opportunity that we have for you to see just what's gone on with a note when it has been pinned. You can see here that this was tagged to DJ Rana. Yes, it was sent to him, and it shows that he did not read it as yet. And here you can see for Mark Wilson, who I'm logged in as, that yes, it also went to him, and that indeed he has read it as he was the creator. So this gives you opportunities to potentially set up other people as also receiving this particular pinned note. Good, good. Now, I'll just point out quickly, of course, show details, just some other information that is down below about the creation date and such. And, of course, on any note now, other users can come in and add comments to these items. So some really nice, handy ways to track what's been going on, keep those items close at hand, and allow you to get back and look at them. Now, the one thing that I also wanted to point out is that remember that alerts are in the system for working with these notes. And those alerts are apparent up at the top. Now, I cleaned mine out the other day to just be more prepared for this. I was on a different identity, but you can see that any of these items can be indeed added into here. And as you're doing these notes, if you're set up to be receiving notification of notes that are going in, then of course they will show themselves in this particular list, and you can navigate to them accordingly. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the home page. So what I'd like to show to you is how the pinned note is now available on the dashboard. I want to show you the prospecting task that's been created, and I want to also pull up the calendar and just show you how that prospecting task is visible on the calendar for you to quickly see what's going on. So under the pinned notes, you'll notice we have the title now changing when you are on the notes, and that particular note that we've just created is right here. So voila, I can choose this, and I can drill into it, and there we can see the information. We can then review and potentially add our comment back to the item, and of course deselect Pin to Dashboard to remove it from my pinned note on the dashboard. So it's a great way. It keeps track of things, and it does drop it into place. You can also see my sample note that I had created just earlier today. Now, we also made a prospecting task. And right now, under tasks and to-dos, it's showing all tasks that are assigned to me that are open and start before tomorrow. But when I'm specifically doing prospecting-related tasks, I like to come in and actually change that filter to just show me prospecting-related tasks. And it shortens that view, and it shows to me the specific items that you can see as tasks below. And I can now, of course, choose to navigate to the actual task detail page, or I can navigate to the company detail page, depending on which column I wish to select. And when I do that, I can drill in. I can see the task that's been related to this item, and then hence use the navigation of the company name to get me to the company itself. And of course, as I'm working with these, select them to be confirmed to remove them from my prospecting list. Now, I wanted to sort of show that routine as a way for you to keep track of, review what your history was, and then use that as the foundation for then navigating and creating your next interaction with that user. I'd also now like to point out to you on the calendar how these tasks become available for someone to view here on the calendar so that they don't miss catching these opportunities. Here I made this particular item this morning, and you can see how mousing over shows to me the details that had been written in the task itself. If I were to choose the date, it will pull up for me all of the items that may be in my list. And you can choose these then to actually navigate in the back end of the system or in the main page to the detailed item that is being spoken or displayed on this particular summary view. So if I were to come back and say, let's choose the date of the 26th, oh, it's just showing events. You can set these up so that it would show the due dates. You can choose the detail of the jobs and, of course, the events that are there to navigate and to work with you accordingly. So a great way to, of course, take these on the road is for exporting these to an ICS file and or an iCal file, and then importing it into your Google or your iCal, and then syncing that, of course, with your mobile device. And do know that that ultimately getting calendars tied in a more synchronized fashion is something that we do hear about regularly, and as we finish up the rewriting of the tool, we will indeed be focusing on working on that. So I'm going to just close up the calendar. We're making some good time through things, and I've just got a couple of more items to show to you. I'd like to just express how estimates And tracking the status of estimates is a great way to know what's been submitted to clients and yet not approved from them. And so you could come in and just do the similar kind of a search under your estimate section within the tool. And I like to just come in, and again, I'll work under Mark Wilson as the account executive, and I'm going to search for all estimates where he's the AE, where they are of a status of submitted. And hence select find, and I'm presented again the results of that search in the estimate find list. Excuse me. So you'll notice here, I did seed the system with an estimate for Golden Gate University. And it had been set up to have a probability of closing of about 50%. And that the estimate was done on the 25th, and that I'm predicting that we're going to close this in November. But what I want to point out is how, when you drill into the detail of the estimate, we have the approval status that is on the estimate. And this has been here for a while, but we find that it is something that's underutilized by our clients. So I keep wanting to point it out to you. It's a very valuable way for you to track just what estimates are currently being developed, what estimates are submitted to customers, and of course, what estimates have been approved. Of course, when you go through this process, if the estimate does get declined by the client, then of course you can track that so that you can also see those which have been lost. But it's a really valuable routine, and I wanted to make sure that you're aware of that, really allowing you to search for all estimates that have been submitted to clients but not yet approved. You know, when you're on that last push to try and get some extra business in the door at month end or quarter end, a great way to be able to quickly find what has not yet been signed off by a prospect or client. Now, I wanted to pull over and just show you the cost totals here. This cost total is a new field that's going to be released in 9.2 this Friday. Function Point has always had the ability to tag one of your rate categories as a cost category. And what we've done now is we've brought that cost category or cost rate forward so that you can see it as you're pricing out specific work for individuals or specific work for clients. And hence, if you have the permission to see cost values in Function Point, then after this Friday, if you set up a cost rate and tag it as such, when you're building new estimates, you're going to see that cost rate here on this particular screen as you're working and building costs. And we also have put in a little mouse over that is related to the value of it and what the costs are, and putting in some margin figures. And I noticed that we do have a small bug here that we'll make sure we get fixed up before our release on Friday. Good, good. Now, the last piece that I wanted to point out before I quickly jump in onto what are the other changes for 9.2 later this week is to show to you under sales one of the prospecting reports that is in your version of the system. Here under CRM and sales reports, we have one called prospecting. And this allows you to come into the tool and really get a view of all of the prospects that any account executive may be working on. And you can output it to PDF, XLS, or just to CSV. XLS, of course, just being Excel. And of course, we've got quite a number of parameters here. You can come in, again, I'll search under Mark Wilson. You can look under those other fields that we spoke about, you know, show me all active clients, where they are prospects, where their qualification level matches that which you want to view. So if I were to come in and say I want to see what Mark's been doing with all of his prospects that have viewed our portfolio, I can do so. And I can also put in, show me some of the last notes that show me when the last notes were made to that particular individual, and hence getting a sense as to when they were last contacted. It will filter by the parameters entered. Again, the date range for notes, and that this report does limit results to 500 rows. You can indeed have quite a number of prospects. We've seen, well, for instance, in our own system, we've, I think, have had upwards of 15, 18,000 prospects in the tool. It can be quite extensive. I'll just select Submit, and of course, quickly pulls up that particular report, and it shows the list of all of Mark's prospects. It shows information around their classification and their qualification, and had I put in some note information, it would show me when they were last contacted and just what the status is of them accordingly. So a really nice way to just keep track of what's been going on and what is currently active in your prospecting of new opportunities. Good. Tate, that completes really what I wanted to go over with everyone today. I'm not sure if we should jump in and quickly answer any questions that have come up, and then I can quickly go through the upgrade to 9.2.
I've been answering the questions. There's been about only about 4 or 5 questions so far, which hopefully means that you've answered everything as you've gone through it. If you wanted to quickly go through those, you can do that, but I have been answering them as we've been going.
Okay.
If anyone else has any questions, though, please type them in.
Good. Okay. Excellent. Well, let me just pull up the list of the changes that we're doing for this Friday's release. Good. So, version 9.2. Alon, Trevor, Sarah, Randy, and the team have been, of course, actively continue to improve the tool, Function Point, on a daily basis. And we've got a really important upgrade that we're releasing later this week. It does include some significant security improvements. And I'll talk a little more towards that. It also includes improvements for the costing while you create new estimates, and I briefly showed that. And it's also got a small feature where you can create a purchase order now from the job financial page. And although I'm not seated with a specific item to do that, I'll try to drive in to show that to you in the system. But really, the majority of what we're trying to do with this release is improve the login mechanism that you work with Function Point. Up to this point, working with Function Point in a non-SSL interaction has been capable of being done. And so you have had to choose if you wish to log in using SSL. And we're changing that with this particular upgrade. If I were to just come back to the main piece, you'll notice that I'm sitting here under HTTPS, production.functionpoint.com. Well, all logins as we move forward will be through a secure socket. And that does really improve the security of your interaction with the system. Now Trevor is just doing some final adjustments to the actual login screen, which you can see that I've navigated to here. Your passwords won't change. Your company information shouldn't be lost. And of course, you can now drive through and use the forgot your password options within the tool. So, of course, something that wasn't available in the past, but you can come in and I can just put in password, and if I mess it up, then of course it tells me that there's an invalid login and that some information is incorrect. If I were to do it again, it will take me 3 times until such that it will start to tell you that now you need to use CAPTCHA. So again, a really important security improvement within the tool. If I come in here and put in the correct password and I put in the right CAPTCHA 171565 and select Submit, then of course it tells me that my CAPTCHA item is incorrect, and I can ask for a new CAPTCHA item, and I think I'll just do yet another until I see one that I like, 264984, and select Submit, and it allows me to log back in. Now, there's some other things that we've done that are really, really important with this login. The CAPTCHA, as I mentioned, jumps in after 3 failed logins, the system will lock any user out of the system for 30 minutes if they make 10 successive failed attempts. So again, really improving security of any user that's trying to just hack into the system. The user will get locked out for 30 minutes. But the user can go through the reset their password to ultimately unlock it. So if they did select forgot password and had the email sent to them accordingly, that is a bypass for them on that 30-minute lockout. Administrators will now have the ability to force users to change their password on the next login. So in the past, of course, this is something that you've not been able to do. You can now navigate into the detail page of a user and choose to have them, force them to change their password. You can change the complexity of passwords within the admin system. So do I want caps? Do I want letters? Do I want numbers? And some really important pieces that some of our clients that use Function Point in combination with their clients, the FP portal, you'll now be able to embed your login to Function Point within your own website through a frame that you can control the background colors and such with. Some information for that, I believe, is now being set up under the system preferences, where you can log in and under preferences select the login, and you can see here some of the setups for the password security minimum lengths, number of letters, number of numbers, etc. Here's the custom link for being able to embed into your location, and we've also set it up such that you can have, when someone logs out, an opportunity for the user to navigate upon logout back to your potential website. So some really nice things to allow, if you want to use it for your internal people, to have it off your own website, or of course for your clients, for them to be logging into Function Point. One last little piece too that I wanted to mention is that if you are set up with alerts in Function Point, then the alerts have a small link within them, and that link will, if you're not logged into Function Point, drive you to the login page, allow you to log in, and then take you to the item that is being referenced in the email directly. So it's a really nice little way for the system to pass through the security of the login, and then ensuring that you get taken to, say, the new estimate that's just been approved or the new job that's just been opened, if you're being alerted for those. Good. Under the estimates, I've touched on the estimate upgrade with regards to the cost field and the use of the cost field. If I drill in under the view phases and services, and if I actually were to come in and choose to add a role, and I believe I come in, if I chose myself, then you could come in, and if you have the capabilities, you can put in overrides on the amounts here that have been added up. So notice that the 12 hours at $150 totals up to $1,800, but I can still override that, something which we've not been able to do in the past when working with individual staff on your estimate. And lastly, let me just come in and see if we have, I'll jump into a specific job. I'd like to show to you how under the job financial page, we've just put in a small capability, yeah, here we go, where when you look under external expense items, such as printing, for instance, you can actually now choose to create an external expense from this specific service. So this has now become a little smarter. In the past, all this permitted was the creation of tasks from the services. Now it will also allow you to create a new purchase order from the specific item, and it'll drop in all the information that comes from the original estimate if there's descriptions. Fundamentally, all you need to do is add the supplier further this off to the supplier for having the item created. So a nice way. Our people that are doing purchasing have been asking for that for some time, so we're really, really happy to have had the time and opportunity to get to creating that. That's really the extent of the changes. I really want to just stress how the importance of this particular upgrade is related to the security of your use of Function Point and allowing you to really request and have individuals change their passwords. Of course, changing the password is still available under their individual name up in the super nav at the top. And I'll just point out how under our community help, there will be more information around this release that will get posted here before this Friday or on this Friday as it goes out. The system will be down shortly from approximately 5 p.m. We asked for 4 hours, but we don't suspect it will be out for the whole 4 hours. And also, just as I wrap up, I'll just make note about the win an iPad and participate in our referral program. Please take note in here. We've got information that's specific around winning an iPad 2 for your team's lunchroom. Of course, once it's in your hands, if you want to take it home, we can't stop you. But the idea was for it to be something that would be around the office for doing that link back to our company. So check this out. Do get yourself registered for this, and we thank you very much for that participation. Good. Okay, I hand it back to yourself. We have finished up 10 minutes early, which I'm really pleased about. And thank you very much, everyone. I'm not sure if there's any other questions that have come in.
There have been, but what I've done is I've just launched a poll of today's webinar, so I'd really appreciate it if you can rate what you thought of the value of the webinar today. We're going to be obviously doing these webinars every month, so we really value the feedback that you provide us. Some of the other questions that have come in, Chris, are really around reporting and reporting for prospecting level stuff and pulling it to Excel, that type of thing. So I'm not sure if there's anything else that we can go over around reports in a couple of minutes, but that seems to be some of the questions that are coming in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Of course. You know, of course, under the reporting for prospecting, we do have that prospecting report that I pointed out, and I want to just make you aware of that. There are some other sales-related reports that we've been working on and fine-tuning that we want to ultimately get released to you, and you will see some of those as we go through the fall. We're soft launching those. But I think one of the areas that that's really quite valuable is being able to also search those notes. And I use this quite often in just seeing, you know, everything that's going on. I may come in and say, you know, show me all the notes that a particular account executive has been working on. I put in Mark, it's found 2 matches, so you know, I might actually be doing that in the wrong field. Created by is the one that I'm thinking of, and in turn be saying, you know, show me all of those notes that an individual's been working with on specifically on a contact type of prospecting. You may also, again, review it down to, you know, the qualification levels. But this note search field has a number of those sales-related fields that do allow you to easily and quickly find just what kind of interactions have been going on with those organizations. So you can see it found the couple of items that I'd seeded for today's presentation, and of course then you can export these through the items at the top and really drive into them in detail. The other, of course, is also searching. I showed you the search earlier under companies, but you can also do a search under contacts for the same kind of information. So don't just show me all the companies that are on the go, but show me all of the individual contacts that someone might be interacting with. Again, in a similar fashion here, the source is available, the qualification, the individual you know, information around whether they're on your mailing list, and of course you might even be, you know, wanting to narrow it down by city if you were perhaps off to a particular part of the country to view. in, again, the resulting list view. Export these items accordingly through CSV or just into a PDF, for use outside of the system. So that's really the extent of some of the reporting in there. You know, doing estimates, finding estimates that are submitted and being able to total those dollar values, again, also quite valuable if you are using that estimate submitted status. Good. I hope that's of some use.
Okay, thanks, Chris. What I'm going to be doing is I'll stay on the line for the next 5 or 10 minutes to see if any other questions come in. Again, we will have this webinar recorded and up on the community help site by the end of the day. So if you do have teammates that you think would benefit from seeing the webinar, then that will be available for them. So again, I'd like to thank you all for attending today, and thank you for your questions, and hopefully you found value in the webinar.
Thanks very much, everyone. Really, we do appreciate you attending, and we hope there's some value to this, and we look forward to your feedback. And please don't hesitate to recommend other topics for our webinars. Thank you.